Hi everyone, this is DocT, and this is another 5-minute guide to understanding your horses better. Today, we're going to talk about why your horse is girthy. And what that means is when you put the saddle on, you tighten up the girth, the horse turns and looks at you, or he fusses, or he paws, or shows some sort of discomfort and says basically, I don't like that pressure being put on my chest. And we're going to discuss why this happens, and it all boils down to the guts. Yes, I said the guts. All right, now let's just kind of take a look at what the guts are. All right, here is the guts of the horse. Not really. This is just called the hindgut, and let me just explain what that is. Actually, let me just scorch that down just a little bit, and then I'm going to go up here. Pretend this is the long line that squiggly thing down at the bottom is. And right here is the stomach and the mouth, and everything's going this way in the gut. And it goes in, that's the foregut, and then it goes in the midgut. And then you have something called the hindgut. And that's what's really important here, the hindgut. And what's interesting about that is this hindgut can get something called ulcers. And ulcers are basically little dots of inflammation that occur in here. And these are called hindgut ulcers because they're occurring in this section here, in the hindgut. This is made up of the colon, the cecum, and it's basically where all the poop comes out of this end. Out here makes a mess in your stall. Okay, so let me try and straighten this thing out. Okay. The hindgut starts where the small intestine drops off and the cecum starts, and the cecum is a blind sac. That doesn't mean anything to you, so don't worry about it. But let me just make this a little bit thicker. Let's go like this. This is how the hindgut is put in. It's folded up inside the horse. And what this basically is saying is the food comes in here and it goes around here and it comes all the way around up here. This is back up in the hip section on the horse's left side. And then it goes all the way back toward the chest and takes another curve and it comes all the way back. And this is where the manure comes out at the anus. So, whoops. It's so funny. This thing is so finicky. Let me just do that. Okay. Now, I'm going to shrink this up just a little bit. I'm going to move it up here. Now, this is a little bit flat, and I really want to show you a concept here. Let's look at this horse, the top line here, and here's its chest, and here's its waist. And right here is the hind leg, and up here is the front leg. And just to give you some idea, this is where the saddle is. Right about there, there's the withers. And the girth comes down something like this. And what's interesting is, let's see, is this point right here. Let me just put an X right here. Is way down here where the girth lies. I think I need to do this a little bit differently. Here's the top line of the horse. Here's the bottom line of the horse. And the cecum comes right down in here, in this area like this, and the girth is right here. And where this meets is where a lot of pressure can occur. And if there's a lot of ulcers in your horse, represented by these little dots, they can become pressured and inflamed, and the horse can get a little girthy. And the importance of this little deal that I'm putting together here is to show you the relationship right here of where the girth is and where the hindgut is. Now, a lot of you say, hey, Doc, now that I know it, what can you do? Well, some people have created, in the a very thin horse here, let me do it this way. They've created a girth that comes down and then comes forward. And I've seen this, and like if here's the front leg, it almost goes between the front legs and tries to avoid this section where the hindgut is. And that's really cool. But the question is, what are you doing about the ulcers? And I'm just going to suggest, and this is really cool, that for 3 days, I call it the 3-day challenge, you feed no grain. And the reason for that is grain, another word for grain is, I'm going to write it in big words, sugar. And some horses are sensitive to sugar. Just like there are some people who are sensitive to wheat gluten or other food allergies, some horses are sensitive to sugar. And what I'm finding is if you give your horse no grain for about 2 weeks, these ulcers go away and the horse is no longer girthy. And they also like to be groomed. They also like to have their, like to be trailered. They're not grumpy. Some horses that are non-sweaters start to sweat. There's so many different things like crow hopping. When you first start riding, these horses become mellow, they become excited, they become excited about working. So I'm going to suggest that if you'd like, try this 3 days of no grain, and if you can do that, you may eliminate girthiness in your horse. Anyway, that's it. Doc T here, and that's all I got to say. See ya.